Cardano officially becomes the first layer 1 outside of Bitcoin to integrate with the Bitcoin ecosystem via the Grail bridge. What does that mean for Cardano? What does that mean for Bitcoin? We'll have that discussion. We also have the one and only Frankie Candles joining us in about 10 minutes. So if you hear from the Candle Mafia, welcome to the Sin City Crypto live show. We're excited to have you today. We're going to look at some charts. We're going to take a look at Bitcoin. We're going to look at a Cardano chart. We're going to look at a Chainlink chart. Maybe we're going to look at an Avalanche chart. If there's any altcoins you want Frankie Candles to do some TA on, drop them in the comment section. We might just pick one extra one for him to do. We're also going to share some news on another exchange launching their own layer 2. Who do they use? Who are they? And what does that mean for that exchange and for the crypto ecosystem? We'll talk about that and much, much more on today's episode of Sin City Crypto. Let's go.
Boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, we're the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel. We take that old, boring, stale information you get elsewhere. But here, we do it in a fun, sexy, stylish, humorous, and
gravy all on the carpet kind of way.
Gravy on the carpet?
Why were we late? Gravy train spilled a barrel of gravy on the floor.
I sure did.
Is that gravy in your cup there?
She is drinking straight turkey gravy. Ashley.
Yes.
I believe this is the third week in a row that you have been the closest to our Bitcoin price predictions. Are you some sort of oracle that we don't know about?
I don't know. I might be, honestly.
Start calling you Chainlink over here. You know what I'm saying? Stay tuned. She'll be back tomorrow for her new Bitcoin price prediction.
Sure will.
Look how jealous Robin looks. Robin, you lost. It's okay.
No, you're horrendous.
I lost too.
I'm going to call you Chainlink from now on, if you know what I'm saying. That's what I'm shaking my head at. Yes, they're going to call you Chainlink from now on. You know what I'm saying?
That's so funny. If only Kamala Harris can laugh at herself like this. Now, so today's show, something exciting was announced yesterday. Cardano officially bridging with Bitcoin. Now, you always hear some of the smartest people, the analysts, people like Mark Yusko talk about the Bitcoin ecosystem, right? Bitcoin DeFi, Bitcoin ordinals, runes, how big that's going to be. But obviously, that on a mass scale, it can't really happen on layer 1, right? So you need layer 2s, you need scaling solutions, you need Cardano, and well, Cardano is here. Welcome, Cardano Bitcoin Cardano Bridge just launched. Some insight here. This is from Bitcoin OS, from their blog post. Cardano comes home to Bitcoin in groundbreaking BOS Grail Bridge integration. This makes Cardano the second major layer 1 to plug into the BOS infrastructure after, of course, Bitcoin. Why Cardano chose BOS? Emergo will be developing using BOS to bring Bitcoin's ocean of liquidity to the Cardano network via the Grail bridge, which will allow for the trustless bridging of Bitcoin and other Bitcoin assets with Cardano. Grail bridge uses zero-knowledge cryptography to let Bitcoin users move their BTC to other chains without needing to trust custodians or intermediaries. Bitcoin OS was the first to verify a ZK proof on Bitcoin in July of 2024 and was also the first to release open source code showing that it is indeed possible. We take a look on some other Cardano stuff here. So you have net flows. Cardano taps 264% surge in net flows. Will the ADA price start moving? And, if you have this indicator by Sin City Crypto, the liquidity flow index, you would have seen this thing coming. This is the liquidity flow index on the weekly for Cardano. As you can see here, going all the way back to the week of Monday, September 9th, where we initially flipped green on the net flows, we have been positive. In fact, this is the highest inflows we've seen since March of this year. And Robin, what happened in March of this year, Robin?
Price went up.
Price went up.
That's right.
To 80 cents. So there is a disparity with money flowing in and the price reacting. Now, Robin, with this big news, with the Bitcoin bridging, you also have the net flows increasing to 9-month highs. What are your thoughts on where Cardano's going, man?
I think a lot to unpack there. So first of all, what does Bitcoin and the bridge mean? If you look at the Bitcoin OS, I was like, well, what is this all about? It's basically roll-ups. It's smart contracts on Bitcoin. Now, we've seen this before through Stacks. Stacks is a side chain that leverages the security of Bitcoin, but it has its own token. With Bitcoin OS or BOSS, as it's also called, there's no chain, there's no token. Essentially, it's kind of interesting. It's almost comparable to like the Lightning Network. You know how the Lightning Network doesn't have its own blockchain. It's just a handful of channels or lots of different channels that are opened up by institutions that provide liquidity for trading back and forth, and then they go and check in on the network. Now, with that said, pretty similar here. You're just running a bunch of ZK rollups on by operators, and then those operators are validating that on the Bitcoin network. What's all this mean? Pretty simple. Smart contracts, speed, and scalability through the Bitcoin base layer. Now, it is a bridge, so there does open up for vulnerabilities. So I wouldn't say that it's as secure. It's not as secure as the base layer, of course, but it's probably just as secure as the Lightning Network, right? And so as long as the ZK rollup technology in itself is cryptographically secure, then at that point, that's really what they're leveraging. They're leveraging the security of the ZK rollups as the method of security. So, long story short, it's pretty damn bullish because, you know what? We see that Stacks tried to throw their hat in the ring when it came to smart contracts, but we haven't really seen anything develop from that. Could we see the development of smart contracts move over to Cardano? Because it kind of had a failure to launch on Stacks. Now, not saying that Stacks is a failure, but I'm just saying that from market adoption, you don't see any. Have you seen any smart contracts that come to mind? Any dApps that come to mind on Stacks?
No.
Exactly. And so it's the promise and the premise. And so for me, I'm in the same boat here. We need to see some kind of dApps being used and built before this becomes a big headline to me. As far as price and, looking at the metrics of the charts, I'm super bullish on Cardano. I do think that we talked about yesterday, will Bitcoin hold that 66K level? Will it?
It was 65 and it's held. It's
and so now we're over 67,000.
We're almost at 68.
Yeah. So pretty bullish. I was kind of questioning where we're going to go back down and test the lower bounds of the channel that we've been in for eternity since back in March.
You know what's funny is a month ago it was the opposite. I was more bearish, you were more bullish, and now it's the opposite.
Well, I was just factoring probabilities.
You're just scared. It's okay.
I'm factoring probabilities, and you know what? The longer we went into this month without having that big breakout, the longer that I thought to myself, I'm like, hey, maybe this October, maybe this $70,000 Bitcoin might not materialize because we've kind of just kept running into that resistance of the 68,000, 69,000, and so
listen.
One last shot. Bitcoin's about to put on a Halloween costume, and it's a big ass green arrow.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have something that just might quell your fears here. I have one of the best TA analysts who's joining our show today. Is none other. We got Frankie Candles. It's been such a long time, man. Love this guy, Frankie.
What?
Welcome back to the show, bro.
Hey.
What's going on, guys? Good to see you. Thank you for having me on. I'm pumped, man.
We're excited to have you back. It's been such a long time. How you been, dude? How are things going? Are you how have you been staying sane over the last 9 months watching Bitcoin go bing bong between $60,000 and $70,000?
Guys, it is brutal. This sideways price action is, especially as a TA channel, my job is to get up there, talk about the charts every single day. And, unless we're getting one of those big moves through the giant range, it's just, hey guys, same thing as yesterday. But yeah, I mean, we've been consolidating for what, about 7 months, and I do think we are on the brink of a very big move here. But I think we might get hit with some surprises. So there are some specific things I'm looking at. But thank you guys so much for having me on. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, man. You said surprises, Frankie. Good surprises or bad surprises?
I think maybe a bad surprise.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, I just want to be clear. A lot of the stuff that I look at, I always say this, like one of the hardest parts of my job is, trying to separate the different kind of contexts of like time frames, right? Like I will say this, overall, I am bullish on Bitcoin. I do think that we're going to see that big move up to 70K. I just think that, the market likes to fake people out. Sometimes you like to get big move, quick fake outs to the downside before you get the next big move up. So I think we might have some of that, messing around to do. But yeah, I can show you guys a chart and kind of break down what I'm looking at if you'd like.
Yeah, and then we talked about this on the show yesterday while you're pulling that up, Frank. We talked about that 65K level, the upper end of that channel that we've kind of been in between that 60 and call it 70K. And we had a beautiful, we had a breakout, and then we retested that, and it looks like it's held support. But what are you seeing on the Bitcoin chart?
Yeah, so let me go ahead and share this with you guys real quick. So here we are. And this is that brutal 7-month range that we have just been, like you said, ping-ponging around up and down here. And I did not make this saying up. I think I heard Bill Sobel say this. I think it's the first time I heard that saying. The bigger the base, the higher in space is what they say, right? So, this big consolidation, is this a gigantic bull flag? Is this going to break us up into all-time highs? And I'll just kind of give you a rundown of the higher time frames of what I think is likely to happen. And then we could break down these lower time frames. I know you mentioned that 66K level holding. I'll kind of break down some of that stuff for you as well. Awesome. But so as far as this long range, right? This is every time we break this level, like I said, big fake out here, August 4th, we get the nice little break back up here, and then we eventually continue up. I do think we may have some of that to happen as we get that breakout to the upside, but I will just say this. I do think that, one thing to note here is we have a lot of liquidity sitting up here, which does act as a magnet for price. And when I mention liquidity, all I mean is people's stop losses, right? And that does tend to act as a magnet for price. So if we do, I will say this right now, the way I trade, right? A big thing that I like to use is the volume profile. And with this tool, it gives you 3 very key levels. You have a value area low, which is the low of the range. I have them labeled right here. The POC, which oftentimes falls in the middle of the range. And then you have the value area high, which is just the high of the range, right? And these levels are based off of volume. And all of these levels can give you a really good roadmap on where price is likely to go next, right? So once you hold above that value area low, very likely the next place for price to go is going to be up to that POC. And then once you get above this POC, this is your key level that you want to hold as support in order to get that move up to your value area high. So if we remain above this POC and we're able to hold support here, I do think that next very likely target in the medium term is going to be about $70,162, which is that value area high. Once we get up here, we have a lot of liquidity sitting above these levels. And like I said, the liquidity levels do act as a magnet for price. And once price starts to push into those stop orders, if we start to stop out and liquidate the shorts that may be still holding from up here, maybe some crazy people who are short from here with their stop losses super high up. Once you start stopping these people out, it will bring a lot of market buy orders into the books, and basically that's where you see those big liquidation wicks. That's kind of what happened here. You start to have a lot of people who are long, their stop losses are sitting below the lows. And then once you break this low and you start stopping out those long positions, it's the opposite. You'll just start to add a lot of sell orders to the market, which gives you that big wick to the downside. So I do think if we could creep up, hold this $66,000 level, creep up to here, and then break into that liquidity, we can start to see an exciting wick to the upside. The caveat is, it's too soon to call this, but once we get up here, I will be very cautious because there is a possibility that we can wick up here, get that big liquidation wick, and get a huge fake out to come down one more time, in my opinion, then to start the real big move to the upside. But again, I don't want to scare anybody or just say, you know, all-time highs aren't incoming. You know, you have to reassess the situation once you get up here. There's definitely a possibility, depending on what price looks like, if we get up here and we start to break out, you know, we could easily start breaking off into all-time highs. Some of my next targets are between $81,000 and $91,000 if that is the true breakout. But I will be very careful above here because oftentimes, you know, you come up to this range and that is typically where you get the rejections back in.
So Frankie, how do we make money on that move there? Do we wait for validation on the breakout? Do we wait for a retest of that move up and then retest? Do we well, what are some things you're looking for? Like, hey, do I enter a short? Do I enter long? Because either way, it sounds like it could be a potential money making opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, again, I always like to reiterate, I am a trader, right? So for my long-term bags, you know, most of my money is in long-term investments, you know, my long-term spot bags. So for that, you know, I'm not worried about a fake out here for my long-term spot bag. So if you're out there, you're a holder or hodler, right? You know, I wouldn't be worried about this fake out. I wouldn't think that this is like a fake out to zero, right? I would still be bullish on Bitcoin. I just think it would be very, very boring, which is kind of the worst case scenario for me personally is, you know, you just come back down to the bottom of the range, come down here again, and then you wind up going to all-time highs, like the true all-time highs. But yeah, basically what I like to look for is basically the same thing I look for every time, right? I like to look for bearish confirmations. And one of the more simple bearish confirmations you can look for are, you know, something like a bearish divergence, right? So oftentimes when you get up to these levels, this above the value area highs where I'd like to look for short. So I like to look for the actual reaction, right? So if price does come up here, one of the things I will be looking at now, it will take time to actually see those confirmations come in. But if we get a big wick up here and a long wick, if we see something like this, where you get the aggressive move, right, you're going to get a lot of people. What happens basically is when you get again, those stop losses are sitting up here. So once those get triggered, that's where you get these big candles to the upside. But as you get that big candle to the upside or that big wick to the upside, if you get a wick like this and it's not a big body, like a big candle closure, right? A big body, that is where oftentimes you can see what we call liquidity grab. And that is where you oftentimes see big moves to the upside, because as those short orders are liquidated and you get that big move up, you have a lot of people FOMOing in long. And where are their stop losses going to go? They're going to go below. And that is basically what a liquidity grab is. You see the big liquidation to the upside, aka a short squeeze, right? And then if you get a pullback, and those longs that entered late, right, those FOMO longs here are going to get wrecked. So the same thing that happens to the upside will then happen to the downside. And the way that shows up on the chart is a big wick like this. And people come in, right, all the longs get liquidated. You get this big panic wick. And then as you're getting the panic wick, all these people are FOMO shorting. And then you get that big liquidation back to the upside. And you get these big wicks. And what they basically are gigantic fake outs. So the way I would say to make money is not to freak out. If you start breaking this all-time high, it is not the time to buy on a big green candle. Take a deep breath. Let price consolidate. Even if you get a massive move up like this, right? Price will eventually cool off and consolidate where you can actually make sense of what's happening on the charts. You do not want to enter on these big green candles. It's very likely that you will get wrecked. So for me, I like to get up here. If I start to see that it's a big wick up, a big wick down, that could be the sign of the fake out. And another thing I like to look for is a bearish divergence, which is simply just seeing a higher high on price. Was kind of poorly drawn, right? You get a higher high on price, and then on indicators such as your RSI. This is something easy that some of your viewers can get for free on TradingView. Type in RSI, Relative Strength Index. This is a momentum indicator, and basically what you like to see is a lower high on your RSI, right? So it would look like this. And then it would look like that. So if you have a higher high on your price action with a lower high on your RSI, that would be a bearish divergence. We saw that happen right here. Last time we tried to break out, you had a higher high on your price, lower high on that RSI. Big dump to the downside. And then you did have it over here as well on smaller time frames where you had the higher high, the lower high, and then you get the return back into the range. So those are some of the basic things I'm looking at. It's not something that I would enter a trade in alone off of, but that is some of the things that you can look at to try to see if it's going to be a fake out. But once you break out, that key level of support to hold is going to be this value area high at $70,160.
Awesome. And that's some good advice, talking about take a deep breath. I always say, my saying always is, you don't ever jump on a high-speed train going 100 miles an hour. Wait for it to get to the next stop, right? Frank, I want to ask you, we opened the show talking about Cardano. and the bridge with Bitcoin. I showed this chart. This is our custom indicator that shows you the liquidity flow and also the sentiment of the market. And so this is Cardano on the weekly. Money's been flowing in. We actually just had this week the highest net inflows since we saw back in March of this year, where price rallied up to 80 cents. Seems like price might be lagging on the liquidity flow or the net flow. What are you seeing on the Cardano chart? Do you foresee a breakout coming anytime soon here?
Yeah, so for Cardano, let me see if I can pull this up for you. So actually, what I'll do here, let me pull up a clean Cardano chart for you real quick. Because a lot of the altcoins, I was talking about this on my live stream recently. On a lot of these altcoins, I do see that we have a very interesting setup here. Now, basically, a big theory that I use in my trading is called auction market theory. And this is basically the idea that the market is always seeking fair value. Fair value shows up on the chart in forms of ranges, right? So just in a basic form, I won't pull the actual, I'll pull some actual tools in a second, but just in general, the way the market likes to move is it likes to seek these areas of balance, right? AKA ranges, very simply put. So right now, what I really like about a lot of these alt charts are that we have this little upper consolidation from the highs that we made in 2024. And now we're starting to get a little bit of consolidation at the lows. And very simply put, once we start breaking out of these ranges and the market goes into imbalance, right, and the buyers start to outweigh the sellers down here, which will happen at some point, and I'll show you why I think that might be coming somewhat soon. Once that happens, the price is going to do one of two things, right? It is either going to fly into a previous area of balance, which simply put is going to be right here, right? I will pull this volume profile for you. This is what I would be looking at locally, right? You have this nice little range up here. This is an area of balance. This is where buyers and sellers agree that below this range, it is a cheap price. They buy it back in. When you go above, you sell it back into the middle of the range, right? So this is an area of balance. You can think of it as a fair value, right? And then once you imbalance, right, once you break out and the sellers outweigh the buyers, you're going to seek out a previous area of balance. And you could just see here, you had an area of balance here, an area of balance here. And if you extend these lines in a very sloppy manner, right? I don't want to waste too much time here. I would do it with the actual tool, but you can see this little area of balance back here is now being respected perfectly over here. And this is a really, really important theory that I use to predict these moves. So what does this mean for Cardano moving forward? Basically, in my opinion, once we break out of here and get imbalance to the upside, we are likely going to target this zone here between about 50 cents all the way up to about 67 cents. And once we break above this low here at about 50 cents, hold it as support. That is going to open the door for that big move up to 67 cents. And just like you have that set up locally here, you also have it in the long term where you have a massive area of balance all the way from the top of 2021 sitting up here. And this is the exciting range that you want to break into. Might take a little longer to get there, but I would be looking at this as, hey, in the long term, we have this massive range up here, and then you have this lower accumulation range down here. So once you actually get the breakout of this lower accumulation range, you are likely going to see that imbalance to the upside. Price is going to target this new area of balance. Price always seeks balance. So it doesn't like being in these gaps in balance, right? It likes to fly through here very quickly. So that quick move up is likely going to happen through that gap. Flip this macro value area low at 97 cents. That's your doorway to $1.90 and potentially, hopefully, into price discovery for Cardano. And, David, what I love about this setup right now is if I look at Market Cypher B here, specifically on the 2-day for a lot of these altcoins, anything short of a black swan event, I would say personally, there we go. This money flow on Market Cypher B is starting to come to the upside here on not only Cardano, but a lot of these altcoins that are in these setups. So the money flow the way I interpret this is it indicates the long-term trend. We had a money flow crossover here, right, for a big trend to the upside. We just go back and back test this. Money flow crossover on the 2-day here before basically the big run in 2021, right? Same thing back here, 2-day money flow crossover, big run to the upside. So and we've been in the red here for quite some time. So are we about to get that crossover into the green for a big run to the upside? I don't know. Unless we get a black swan event, I do think it's coming very soon. But one thing I can say, if it does, these are going to be the key levels to watch right here. Those value areas are going to be the areas of balance that price is attracted to.
Amazing. Frankie, you mentioned a big move. Are there any big trades that you have your eye on, or any setups you're maybe waiting for a validation, or that you're just like the sexiest chart that you kind of seen? Is there anything like that you want to share?
I would say, in my own personal opinion, it's basically a very similar setup to this. Like a lot of these altcoins, I've been saying this on my live stream a lot. This is an accumulation range for me. And just to kind of break down why I am so I wouldn't even say confident, right? Because you don't want to get too overly confident when it comes to, trading. Anything can happen. The market will humble you as soon as you start to get cocky. But I will say this, right? I base it off previous information. I don't get emotional, right? I like to base it off of strictly numbers and data. But if we pull up something like Dogecoin, actually, you know what? I'll pull up Sheep, because this is a perfect example of how this kind of works out, right? On Sheep, actually, let me pull it up here. On Sheep, you have a very, very clear, where are we? Bada boom. All right, let me, I think I actually have this chart marked out. I'll just pull, right here, right? So this is almost the same exact setup on Sheep, right? I'll pull it up to, say, a 2-day chart here, 3-day chart. So you have that upper value area, and then you get the big bear market. This is your accumulation range. Once you break out of that level, this is a perfect example. We actually looked for this on Sheep on my channel right before we wound up seeing this play out. But this is that accumulation range. This is the breakout with the imbalance. Like I said, price does not like to stick around in these gaps. That's where you see the big move up. And then where are you looking for price to go? This is a high time frame, so it looks like it just shot right up here. But if you come to a lower time frame, you could just see, price approaches that value area low, flips it to support, right up to the POC, flips it to support, right up to the value area high. So once you break that level, I call this the doorway to higher prices, because once you hold this as support, that's where you look for the fill of the entire range. And the reason I bring this up is because you asked me for a sexy chart, and I will say this, a lot of altcoins are hanging out like right around here. And one of those coins that I've been looking at recently is TIA, right? Actually, there you go, right? Here's the drawing. I already have it. I've been talking about it on the live stream. So this is that lower accumulation range. And it's the same setup, right? Like it's applicable to a lot of these altcoins. Like we have a lot of altcoins that are set up like this, right? Like even Ondo down here hanging around in this lower range, looking to maybe break out into the bigger range, right? So, but for me, TIA, we were looking at TIA down here at the value area low saying, hey, we're starting to get that 2-day money flow coming up. We're starting to get, daily money flow coming up. Like this could be, the time to accumulate TIA.
And it
not
looks
financial advice, but I just...
Frank, not to cut you off, but that kind of looks like an inverse Head and Shoulders too, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I love that you said that, right? And yeah, this is, now I am not, I'm pretty open about this. I'm not I don't trade strictly based off patterns. And that's not to discredit them at all. They are 100% valid to look at. But I do use them to assist with confirmation, right? So I 100% see this kind of head and shoulders structure, which will oftentimes break up more than it breaks down. So absolutely. Yeah. Looking at this, head and shoulders type formation, you're in the accumulation zone. Even if, David, we were to get a move back down here, I am buying TIA in anticipation, whether it takes a month, 2 weeks, 6 months, who knows, right? It's harder to time things in this market than it is to just trying to get the general idea. But if we could accumulate in here before this big breakout, you're looking at a 229% pump. And the exciting thing about TIA is, unlike something, we saw this same thing happen with Bitcoin, right? I'm glad I have all this already marked out, right? Same thing with Bitcoin. We predicted this move from $30,000 all the way up to this value area high at 50K. And we based it off the same thing. Here's your bull market range. You had the lower accumulation range. We knew once you broke above this value area low, you would get that fill of this volume profile. And it's all the same theory. So, I see a lot of altcoins doing this. And hopefully we could get, October kicks in pretty soon. We're starting to run out of time.
We got 7 days left, Frankie. Don't give up.
I'm hoping we could get that breakout. And Bitcoin, to be quite honest with you, is in a very similar situation here. Like you said, hopefully what I'm looking for on, just lower time frame. I'm really hoping, right? If we get a bigger pullback here, like personally, I'll just kind of draw this out in a simple manner. I am expecting something like this, where we get a little bit more of a pullback. before the big move up. Now, this is not that scary. This is 63,600 is the lowest I would like to see it go. Can we take off from here? I do think that's possible, but I would really just like one more cool off here to finally get that big move up to the 70s.
So,
and then once we get into the 70s, we reassess the situation.
Frankie, you mentioned a couple times, before the big breakout, I've heard you say that 3 times now. And you're right here, you're discussing the shorter time frames. What is your kind of overall look out on this coming bull market? I don't want to say like what is the top, but I mean, what do you think the general theme is for 2025? We do have a crypto almanac, a 2025 crypto almanac, where we've kind of put our flavor on what we think the next year is bringing. But what do you think if we look past, because obviously we're November is next month, and then it's next year, right around the corner, less than 60 days away. And so what do you think about on the macro sense when it comes to Bitcoin? What do you think this bull market's shaping up to look like? And is there any kind of time ranges or any kind of price targets or zones you think that Bitcoin's going to go to? I just haven't talked to you in a while, so I'm not sure where you land on the post-halving bull market cycle and dates, times, and prices.
Yeah, Rob, that's an amazing question, and I will share with you my secret moon mission folder here.
Oh.
And I will just preface it with this: I am personally, right, this is just my personal kind of how I handle things. I'm an extremely technical trader. I pay much more attention to the charts. However, I do think the 4-year cycle has played out many a times. I think we will see that continue to play out in some form or fashion. But as far as all-time highs, I'll share with you guys some of my targets once we start to break 74K and where I think the next likely stop is going to be. But as far as like my all super all-time high, it will be very heavily dependent on really what I'm looking at. I always set my levels and then assess price action as we tap those levels from a technical standpoint. So if I pull this up, my first target for the most part, and these levels are based off of a few different things. They're based off Fibonacci extension levels as well as spider lines. So and the spider lines are trend lines. So those really are reliant on the timing of getting up to these levels to see those as confluence. So I'll just stick to the Fibonacci retracement or Fibonacci extension levels. So first target for me, really once we break out of here, go into all-time highs, we crack that $74,000 all-time high. I think that next big level to look at is going to be about $81,000, 81,620 to be exact, right? Target 1, 81,620. I think that's probably going to be, oh my God, we're getting the huge move. And then that's kind of, whether we flip it, whatever happens up here, I think we will kind of cling to this level. And then above that, you have some, intermediary levels. You have one at $91,000. And then you have another extension level up here at about $101,000. Now, it is, in my personal opinion, it is too soon to like confidently call, are we going to 100, 150, 250? So again, like for me, I wait for these moves to happen. I have these levels on the chart. I know where price is likely to react. If I were to see super bearish targets at $81,000, you better believe I am looking to take profits and short that thing back down. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but just, if we were to see that for some reason, I don't really hold any kind of, I hope 100K comes. That really means nothing to me. I really need to see like, hey, we just flipped 81K. This looks good for a continuation. Then I make the decision, right? So these are the next targets, between 81, 91, and $101,000. This is likely going to be that next big range that we get into. For the most part. And then at this point, right, maybe we come up here, things look really good. They look like it wants to go again. And then we're going to be looking up, go to the next kind of target number 3, 155K. And then, 208 sitting up there at target number 4. So, by no means am I holding my spot bags, just praying for 208K. Again, hit each of these levels. I reassess the situation, kind of, reassess and regroup and, make the decisions that I think are, the right decision at the time based off the reaction. So, let's get to 100K. We've been waiting for 100K for so dang long. Yeah. I think, the FOMO will come in eventually. Right now, I'll be honest with you, I don't think there's a lot of retail here right now. As far as YouTube analytics, search term analytics are at all-time lows. I mean, it's absolutely brutal out there right now. But I think once we break that all-time high, that's where I think we see it happen.
I agree. That's some good stuff, Frank. It's been so long we brought you on the show, man. It's such a shame because you're so good at what you do. We appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much.
I appreciate that.
I can't imagine anyone watching who's not subscribed to Frankie Candles on YouTube. But if you're not, we're going to go ahead and throw that. I think Billy put it up there, but we'll go ahead and throw that link in the comment section. Go subscribe. How often do you stream now live, Frank? You still do 5 days a week, 7 days a week?
Yes, every single weekday at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We drop market updates when the market moves. We do tutorials. I focus on education. And yeah, it's been busy. We haven't really been doing too many collabs. I've been, neck deep in our Discord, just trading. We got a lot. I just have a ton of stuff to do, trying to get some future things ready to go. Hopefully, when attention comes back, we have all that ready to go. But yeah, I miss you guys. We got to start coming on more often. Man. So I appreciate you guys for having me. It's always a blast with you guys.
Yeah, brother. Thanks for taking the time.
We'll send you a copy of that crypto almanac too,
dude. This thing is gonna be sick.
Oh
bro.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, well, I'll shoot you a text after. This thing is gonna be sick. We're in production right now, so it's gonna be awesome. We're excited.
Awesome.
Frankie, thank you as always, brother. Have an amazing the rest of your week, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Thanks for having me. Always a good time. I'll see you next time.
Thank you, Frankie.
All right. Did want to give a little love to the chat here. First of all, big shout out to Jimmy, who gave a $10 super chat. Also gifted 20 memberships as well. And then Billy gave a $5 super chat with that link to
Frankie
Candles. And then Jimmy didn't say anything with a super chat. Just YOLO'd out $10. Yeah, there we go. So big shout out to
his portfolio must be looking good.
There it is. Now, to all the new people here, if you are new, say something. Give us a wave. Drop an hola in the chat or something. We've seen Moonwalker, The Smith, All Set, Morgan Sailor, Irvin, Joe Mama, All Junior, Pennyways, Lars, Aligos, Turkey 21, Future Whaler, Minsky, 3 Much Crypto, Milk on Mars, Sean Suba, C90, Whale Slayer, then you got Crypto Orva, Dutang, The Surfer, D God, and Loki. Hola! Welcome to City Crypto.
I get it. Loki from like Marvel. That's pretty cool, man.
Wow.
Now,
you're a genius.
I forgot to ask. Ashley was wondering, Frankie Candles, does he have any advice on good scented candles? Ashley, I apologize. I didn't get a chance to ask him.
We were chit-chatting in the chat about candles.
What's your favorite scented
candles?
Are you
pumpkin spice? She's a pumpkin spice.
I really do like pumpkin spice, but there's one from Bath and Body Works. It's Marshmallow Fireside. Delicious.
Marshmallow
you eat
Fireside?
it?
I would love to eat it. It smells so good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Sounds really good.
Yeah.
If you're new here, make sure to subscribe to the channel.
Mean?
No, we're not being mean.
You're being mean.
No, that's not true.
What was your favorite one?
What's your favorite candle then?
My favorite candle is for sure the one that my wife doesn't spend $40 on. That's my favorite one.
Oh, it's the cheap candle.
Yeah, the dollar store candle.
Tree ones?
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought
awful.
David was going to say like birthday candle or something.
Something cheap.
What's your
The
favorite?
number 5 on the birthday candle.
That's my favorite one.
What's yours, Robin? Go ahead.
I don't do candles. Sorry.
That's
I have
a lie.
a bird.
I've been to your house.
I have a bird.
I've been to your house.
Stuff.
You definitely have candles.
I don't
What's your
have
favorite?
candles. I don't have candles.
Robin,
bro.
I've seen
the
your
bird and candles don't mix. They got sensitive lungs. So
Birthday candle.
They have sensitive
I'm
lungs.
just being honest, bro. I'm being honest.
Okay. In life, there's lots of important questions. Have you ever wondered, Robin, what if slugs are just divorced snails? Ever thought about that?
I'm gonna use it.
Of all the memes on the internet, all of the thousands.
I'm a
of
simple
memes
man.
every day.
I'm a simple man. I like simple things. Okay, make me a sandwich. And anyways, I do want to share this piece of news here.
Guess what? Is it a lizard or outside of a turtle shell, or is it a turtle?
It's not very funny. Now, a couple things on.
Same thing you just did.
That's not the same thing. I did it way better than you. Now, a couple things really quick. Bitcoin whale accumulation hit 670,000 all-time high amid Bitcoin's V-shaped bounce. Obviously, Frank already did all of the TA on that, but current whale holdings reached a new all-time high of around 670,000 Bitcoin. The chart exhibits a growing trend in 2024, with whales initially eclipsing their previous all-time high holding level from 2020 back in July. And this is a researcher from CryptoQuant saying this accumulation phase can be characterized as the calm before the storm in the medium and long term. You brought this up yesterday as far as the whale wallets and the whale activity. There you have it. We also have some news on Chainlink. Chainlink has teamed up with 8 major players to launch an AI-powered initiative tackling unstructured financial data, including Swift, Euroclear, Franklin Templeton, Avalanche, ZK Sync, and UBS. Seems like Chainlink and Swift are kind of like doing everything together, right? So interesting stuff here. We talked about Chainlink at depth yesterday as far as why it's a good long-term hold, but they're continuing to do things that are truly going to bring Web 2 into Web 3. We also have this. So it's posted from Dennis Porter. The state of Pennsylvania has passed the Bitcoin rights in the House by a sweeping majority, both Republicans and Democrats united together to pass this bill. It essentially guarantees everyone the ability to custody their own Bitcoin. This is in the state of Pennsylvania. When will we have it on the federal level? Soon, I believe. I mentioned Kraken. They have unveiled a new Ethereum Layer 2 built on the Optimism superchain. Kraken announced today its plans to launch its own ETH Layer 2 network called Inc., expected to go live on mainnet by early 2025. Inc. uses Optimism's OP stack and will be part of the Optimism constellation of blockchains, also known as the superchain. The Inc. blockchain is being touted by Kraken as a DeFi-centric chain and will enjoy 1-second block times on day one of its launch, with improvements to sub-second block times to come down the road. We saw Base do this. We know, obviously, Binance has it, but they're their own layer 1. OKX, I believe they did their own layer 2. Now Kraken, any thoughts on, I guess, any of the news I shared? Well, there's Chainlink, this one, or the Bitcoin whales.
No surprise on Kraken. I think that was, I feel like every
centralized exchange.
Yeah, every centralized exchange is going to offer their own layer 1, not as a get rich, not as a
because there's no token, right? They're leveraging Ethereum.
And I think a lot of what makes sense is like, look at Coinbase, right? And if you have 2 Coinbase users, why use the Ethereum network? If you have 2 Coinbase accounts, just use the base, to send any assets that are, transferable on the base chain, particularly the Ethereum network, obviously. But I think it's a no-brainer, right? It's just an internal channel. Just like if you have a retail store, it's a no-brainer to offer gift cards, right? It's a source of revenue. It's how to keep money within the ecosystem. You can gift people. So there's a lot of different things that go on in crypto that just make sense. And I think that an exchange having a very efficient network that doesn't take up a lot of money, basically, to send transactions, and you're gonna every chain's gonna have it. OKX has one. Which one is theirs? This is the X chain, right?
X chain, yeah.
And then you got Coinbase's base. Yeah, you obviously had. There was the outlier. The first one was Binance, which had their own token, but we've seen that token has been manipulated. So I think that it's not really a good look if you're at least going to operate within the U.S. to have your own token associated with your chain. So I think that the new standard moving forward is to have a scaling solution that just makes transactions cheaper and more efficient. And I think that's just going to be the road moving forward. As far as the Chainlink news, I'm not gonna go and parrot what we were saying yesterday and just repeat everything about Chainlink. But my God, bro, if they dabble into AI as far as financial solutions, and we know that the power of AI makes things more efficient as well. You look at blockchain, and when it comes to moving value across the internet, it's obviously a lot more efficient than the traditional services. Same can be said with AI. So if Chainlink is going to operate AI services, we know that today's computers, the AI, just are going to make things run a lot better, a lot faster. And so for me, I'm just really bullish on Chainlink on the long-term vision. Still hasn't changed my thesis on the short term. I probably will leave Chainlink alone at the moment. And I got some other plays.
Leave Chainlink alone. I will leave you with a good nugget here, okay? Before we went live on the show, I increased my Avalanche holdings by 50%, okay? And this is part of the reason why, we've been bullish on Avalanche for quite a while. I picked some up around $7-8, picked some more up at $20. Majority of it was around $7-8. Picked a lot up at 20. I just added 50%, right? I increased my holdings by 50%. Avalanche adoption rate shoots 23.5%. AVAX rally imminent. According to a post from Into the Block, many new users actively participated in transactions for the first time. This trend underscores newcomers' role in the overall network activity. Avalanche gained attention due to recent updates to its ecosystem, strategic partnerships, and increasing interest in new solutions. We have a whole write-up on AVAX
Also,
in our almanac.
Interesting thing about Avalanche is that we've looked at many different altcoins and said, hey, back in February, March, it was a 2x away from its all-time high. Cardano is a great example, right? 35 cents, formerly at 70 cents or whatever it is, it's roughly a 2x. Avalanche was over $60 back in March. And, obviously it was for a brief period of time, but we're sitting at $25 or $26. And so you're getting even more of a discount than some other altcoins. And once again, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but off the grid game only been out for 2 weeks, and I cannot stop seeing big headlines, big streamers that have nothing to do with crypto all of a sudden playing playing off the grid. Here's a good example. I saw one streamer that has zero sponsorship with Off the Grid, completely switched over from playing Call of Duty, 100% there, streaming on Twitch all day long, Off the Grid, not because he's getting paid for it, not because he's getting any NFTs or royalties. He's just simply playing it because it's the game to play right now, and the marketplace isn't even live. So once that goes live, I would expect transactions to go through the roof, and I expect Avalanche to take off. I think from this point, $26 Avalanche, $100, man. $100, I think, is in the near future. And I would say that within the next 90 days. So,
and then one more thing. Damn it, I forgot what I was going to say.
Can I please fix your hair?
What's wrong with my hair?
It just needs like a little.
It's good, man. It's good stuff here.
She said, "Should I spit on my hand and fix it?"
I did not say spit on my hand.
Oh, I thought I read that. Sorry.
Now we're going crazy.
Okay, I thought you said like
you wanna spit on me? That's it.
Like a llama,
You look like a llama.
I look like a llama. What do you look like?
A G.
Oh, okay. G. A lot of words start with the letter G. Robin, be careful. Guys, that'll do it for the show today. We hope you enjoy the content. Big thank you to Frankie Candles. If you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. Ping a notification bell. We're going to be doing a Caspa video tomorrow. Feel like the sentiment in the Caspa community has changed, and I don't know why. People just look at price action, and they're like, "Oh, Caspa's not doing it." We're gonna set everyone straight tomorrow with a Caspa video. You don't want to miss it, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. Yeah. With that being said, Rocco. Tomorrow. We'll do it tomorrow. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We appreciate all of you. Also, big thank you again to Frankie Candles. Thank you all of you who support the channel. On behalf of myself, Rocco, Ashley, and G, thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace.
Entertainment and info, gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I spit the game, but they gave it. Named according to your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy the dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming hola till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon, then to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.